Hello and welcome to the Ancient World Series Explained. My name is Rob McCrae. I'm a fan of the series. Just to get us out at the beginning of this, I'm not associated with GMT Games or the Ancient World Series in any way. I'm just a fan, and I've learned to appreciate the games since they've been out, and I'd like to share that appreciation with you. So what does this video series aim to achieve? Well, generally a familiarity with the series. Let me go ahead and state I don't consider myself an expert in the strategic capabilities of the game. I'm certain that there are many players out there who are familiar with it who could clobber me. But I hopefully am going to generate some interest in the game amongst people who may be intimidated by its fairly large rule set, or possibly to help people discover the game who are not aware that it exists. I think it's a somewhat underappreciated game. It's been out a while, had 2 volumes put out early on, and then it's kind of come to a standstill. It's kind of unknown as to whether or not we'll see a 3rd volume. I'm hoping that we do. I'll talk about that as we go along, maybe the possibility of seeing some future editions. So let's talk about the series overall. The first volume, The Rise of the Roman Republic, was published in 2003, designed by Richard Berg, developed by Alan Ray, art director, package design by Roger McGowan, map art by Mark Simonich, counter art by McGowan and Simonich, and the producers, the guys there, the GMT team, Gene Billingsley, Tony Curtis, Andy Lewis, Roger McGowan, and Mark Simonich. Again, I know none of these people other than by name, but I do know that they produce really good work. So what is the scope of the series? Well, obviously the ancient world, but specifically for the 2 existing volumes spaced around the Roman Republic system. It'll be interesting to see if and how future volumes, if they ever see light of day, deal with non-Roman or even latter-day Roman politics, where the magistrate system began to break down a little bit. Now, to be honest, even though, like I say, the heart of the system is the Roman Republic politics, it does, of course, acknowledge Carthaginian and some of the other minor powers that are out there, and has to deal with how their systems are generated. But again, to be clear, the heart of the system really is the Roman political system based on the magistrate system that helped them determine who their leaders were going to be from year to year. So again, the scope of the system. Let's look at the first volume, The Ancient World, Rise of the Roman Republic. Reading from the back of the book, the back of the game. The Rise of the Roman Republic is the first volume in a projected series of games that will cover virtually every war and campaign in ancient history on the same scale and scope as the legendary Europa series did for World War II. I'm not really familiar with that series, but I can kind of envision, having played this series, what that would have looked like for World War II. Each game and module in the series will add maps, units, and all the personalities that will enable you to play in some, but not daunting, detail your favorite periods. So the last part, daunting, I think the word daunting here is somewhat relative. I think that there are some aspects to the game that are fairly non-complex, fairly simple. They give themselves a level 6 out of 9 on the back of the game box in terms of complexity. There are some aspects of it that I think are fairly straightforward. What makes the game a little bit daunting is there are a lot of rules built in. 56 pages when you open up the box for the Rise of the Roman Republic, between the series rule book and the specific rule book for the first volume. So there's a lot of information built in to the rule set and a lot of it is based on this Roman magistrate system. Some of the other aspects of the game, as far as movement and combat, are unique to the system, although I wouldn't say they're necessarily more difficult than other systems that are out there. Very quickly, I'd like to mention the second volume of the series, Carthage. For the most part, I'm going to be working from Rise of the Roman Republic to begin with, to explain the rule set, but I will be referring to Carthage here and there, so I wanted to go ahead and mention the second volume. It was produced in 2005 by the same creative team and furthers the story along the way. So for the back of the Carthage volume, it simulates the first war of the three separate wars that comprised the 100-plus year long disagreement between Rome and Carthage as to who would rule the western Mediterranean, plus some of the wars fought in and around Sicily and Africa prior to the Second Punic War. So there you have the first two volumes. Interestingly enough, the introduction to the rule set, the overall rule set for the series, starts out with this brief statement that says the ancient world is a series of games in several volumes covering the major campaigns and wars that formed the ancient world from the Greek hoplite era up through the Roman Empire, almost 1,000 years of history. So they've fallen a little bit behind on their production schedule, but hopefully they're busy working on volumes 3 and 4 right now. As a matter of coincidence, the overall rule set was updated online at GMT's website just last month, July 2013. So here's to hoping that the update to that rule set was spurred on by the creative process of working on new volumes. It's possible. Now, additionally, I'd like to acknowledge my use of the vassal module created by Kevin Coombs, who, again, I don't know this individual, but he created the module in 2007. It's going to help us out quite a bit. The module does not contain all of the components of the game, specifically the player aid charts that provide the charts necessary for the game. So if you have the box set, you'll be able to follow on fairly easily. For those of you who are just looking to see if you're interested in buying the game, I have the player aids, of course, and I'll be explaining. I won't be producing them. I will tell you that they are available on the GMT website. Since everything is freely published, I don't think there's a problem with you guys connecting the dots there and realizing that you have pretty much the entire components of the game available to you. That said, I want to do everything I can through this process to preserve GMT's creative rights to the games, to the series. The vassal module is well done, and it does include some programming that simplifies the component management and certainly provides everything minus the charts players need to play the game online while preserving GMT's creative rights. So let's look at the vassal module. First of all, if you're not familiar with vassal, you can go to Google or Yahoo, your search engine of choice, and download the software. So we're going to go to the vassal site. Let me get to their home page here, and you can see that they are at www.vassalengine.org. And when you get there, you can click on this link here, download the Vassal software. If you are on a Mac, you can still download it. It'll say download Vassal for OS, Putty Tat, whatever cat Mac is up to these days. If you're a Mac owner, you know what I'm referring to there. And once you download that, you can go to the modules listing here, and I'm going to go directly to the Rise of the Roman Republic, but I will mention that, as you can see, hundreds and hundreds of games are available to you to download. So going to the Rise of the Roman Republic page, just click on this link and that will bring up or allow you to download the vassal module for the Rise of the Roman Republic. There's also a module for the second volume, Carthage, which would obviously be under the seas. Let me go to that real quick. And Carthage, the First Punic War. And there is its module. So download both of those. They are both designed by the same individual, Mr. Kevin Coombs. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the vassal module to get us started. Again, for those of you who have never used vassal, I imagine most of you war gamers are probably pretty familiar with it. There may be some people who are still new to it. It's fairly easy to use. If you're any computer savvy at all, you'll have no difficulty figuring out how it works. Go to File, Open Module, and go to the location where you stored the vassal module for Rise of the Roman Republic. Let me say that again so I don't confuse you. The module that you went to titled the Rise of the Roman Republic, you obviously stored it on your hard drive somewhere. That's what you're going to want to select when you go to Open Module. Since I've played the game before, Vassal knows that, and it has this list of games that I've played, and so I'm going to right click on Rise of the Roman Republic and Open Module, and that allows me a few options here. I can start a new game offline. I can look for a game online if I'm looking to play with somebody on the server, on the Vassal server. And of course I can load a saved game, and then after I load the saved game, I can go online and continue a game that I've started with somebody else online. For the demonstration here, I'm just going to start a new game offline. Select Setup. Real quickly, what's available to you here, Mr. Combs has done a lot of work for us and has already put in all the components and everything for all of the scenarios that are in the first volume. So it makes it really quick and easy for you as gamers to load up the Vassal module and get started right into one of the scenarios. For the purpose of the demonstration, I'm actually going to go to Create Your Own and Finish. And the reason I went to Create Your Own is just so I can kind of guide you around this Vassal module. Again, those of you who are familiar with Vassal, this will be kind of old hat for you, nothing new. If there is anybody out there that has not used Vassal, I think you'll find this fairly interesting. The first thing you need to know about Vassal is that it does not have any artificial intelligence. So this is not a video game per se. You cannot load this game and play against a computer enemy, a computer player. You have to have either another individual, a live human being to play, or you can use it to play solitaire, which I do quite often. So with the game loaded up, you can see it has a beautiful map. It's a well done map. Mr. Simonich really does a good job of map production. I'm going to zoom in. One of the things with the Vassal module is it allows you to zoom in, zoom out fairly easily. You have sliders here at the bottom if you need to go left and right. You can go up and down if you have a mouse wheel, or you can go up and down, of course, using the sliders on the right. I'm going to zoom out again just a little bit. The map for the Rise of the Roman Republic has, of course, Italy, northern Italy up to the Alps, Corsica, Sardinia, and Sicily. These are all the areas that are caught within these scenarios that we saw there as we first opened this up. Going from left to right here, actually let me start over here. These buttons have to do with you can undo moves if you need to, if you mistakenly put something somewhere and you need to just undo to get it back. Uh, you have the ability to record these games and step-by-step click motion, not necessarily record video, but you're recording the motions, and you can play it back by clicking and going through the motions of a previously played game, which is really helpful. The two arrows here are what help you show hide the server controls. So if you want to play online with a friend, this is what you would click on. And I'll click on that real quick, and it'll bring up this window. And this will allow you and your friends to get on the same server to play against each other. I'm going to close that back down for now. Real quick, going to click on the counters. We have the military combat units for Carthage, Rome, and the minor powers. And I'm not going to go through them individually. I'll do that on the upcoming video where we actually get into the components of the game. And we also have the markers, which allow you to display specific information, status information of the combat units and the locations on the map, which are normal, typical for most war games. Activations, this is really cool. Mr. Combs has built this in, simulates the way that the initiative is determined amongst the leaders in this game, which is, if you were playing the physical copy of the game, you would take these lambs or leader activation markers, you would place them in a bowl, and you would pull one out at one at a time, and that would tell you which leader is activated. So this is actually really cool the way he built this in, and helps the flow of the game quite a bit. Some of the displays, not to be confused with the charts that I mentioned earlier. The charts are the combat charts and all of the other situational charts that are required for you to determine the outcome of the game. These displays that are provided in the Vassal module allow you to track the locations and the stacks of your combat units and your naval units, your naval superiority in the game. The non-Roman army display does the same thing for obviously the non-Roman units. And then the alliance levels show the status of Roman allies, either favorability or non-favorable towards the Romans. The leader pool helps you track the available leaders in the game, as well as the leaders that are out of play. Your leaders can die and disappear from the game entirely. And there's a 10-sided die that's provided up here. 10-sided die determines all of the roles in this game. And one thing that Mr. Coombs provided in here that I really like when designers, Vassal module designers include, let me see if I can get these placed in hexes here, is a show hide counters button, which allows you for a map that's fairly busy, such as this, so that you can see underneath the counters in case there's information on the map that you need to extract. So let me put this back, and you can also see that since I moved the counters, we have these movement trails which can be accessed either by toggling the movement off individually. Notice that one disappeared while this one remained, or you can use this button up here, the move button, and that'll get rid of all of the marker trails at once, which is really good for time saving. Since I do have a couple of markers out, you can see a couple of the or a few of the programming options that have been built in. And for instance, on these African elephants, I can disrupt, I can disorganize, or I can make them useless. I can increase their capability. So notice how there's a 1 on the front. I can make it a 2, make it a 3. That really helps with the component management, so that you're not having to flip or as in the physical game, remove components and replace them with components with that are identical except with higher numbers. So it's really helpful. You can clone if necessary to kind of shorten the time that it takes to put new components on the map. And of course, you can delete. Is that all of the options? Yes, I went through everything. So um, that's pretty much it in terms of the vassal module. I will mention, I kind of showed you earlier, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can control, the exact amount of zoom if you need to. You can also do some image capturing for the map if you need to. Back in the early days, I used to do that. Then I found that I use that less and less, but it is nice that it's there as an option in case you want to do a screen capture to post on a website or print out or for whatever reason. So I'm going to end the first video here. I hope that I've made this interesting for you. I'm going to kind of, for the beginning, go through the rule set in a front to back manner so that we go through it systematically. There's quite a bit of information there. I'm going to try and do it one section or chapter at a time. We'll kind of warn you that there is some back and forth between the two rule sets. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, it'll be perfectly clear to you once we start talking about the rule sets as refers to the overall rule set for the series versus the specific rule set for the volume. The two rule sets work together, and basically the overall rule set provides the overall rules no matter which volume you're playing, but then the specific volume rules for the Rise of the Roman Republic or for Carthage, depending on which volume you're playing, would augment those rules and or overrule the overall rules if necessary. So I'm going to stop right here, and we will pick up with components in the very next issue. So thank you very much. I look forward to seeing and hearing from you.